meeting.
Okay. So this morning, this is the Escambia County Children's Trust Executive Committee meeting. We are meeting at 8:30 a.m. In the Escambia County School Board District offices. And thank you so much, Dr. Smith, for providing this wonderful space, and for Rodney for doing the IT and the recording for us. We appreciate that. So it's the executive committee, so it's myself, Dr. Smith, and Tori Woods. Tori's not here quite yet, so we can go ahead. We do have quorum. We have 2 of 3, so we can go ahead and do, why don't we do approval of agenda, approval of minutes, and we'll skip down to discussion of requests for solicitations for banking and insurance, and then maybe she'll be here before we do the proposals about the law firms. Does that sound good to you?
Sounds perfect.
So, approval of agenda, we were gonna add something, to talk about the timeline of when we are going to start accepting proposals for nonprofits. I know I've gotten a lot of questions, like, when can I start asking for money? So we probably need to talk about that today. Is that okay if we add that? Okay.
That's good idea.
So do you approve the agenda? I approve the agenda. Do you approve the agenda?
I approve.
Okay.
Tori's on her way, she
Okay.
said so.
Perfect. And the minutes, from the last 7/13, I printed out a copy, but it was a very short meeting. We just discussed how we did the solicitation, and we received the 2 applications for legal services, and then we discussed where we're gonna have our planning meeting.
Good.
Okay, so I can approve that. Awesome. Okay. So let's skip on down to discussion for requests of solicitations for banking and insurance.
Just for y'all's information, the county purchasing has offered to help. They were helping with the RFP for the search firm. And he said, well, we'll write it for you. We had been cobbling it together, so I sent it to him. So I sent him a note and said, would y'all handle the insurance and banking also? Because those are gonna be coming up. He said, sure, let's talk next week. So don't know what the timeline will be. The search, as an update on the search, it's not like the bar where you can go to one source and advertise to all the qualified people. It's just taking a little bit longer than we thought.
To find this correct search firm.
To find the RFP, no, we're not even there yet. To find the networks, we have a long list of them, but now, the county purchasing is putting together RFP, and then we'll spread it out. Emily's got some emails, addresses.
So just to keep you, keep you dates, we had a personnel committee meeting, and then we had the board. I think you were out of town for that, and so we decided to use a search firm to help us find an executive director. So to do a search firm, we have to do a request for solicitation to do a search firm. So that's what the county is writing, helping us write a solicitation.
And we had hoped that would be
Okay.
advertised this week so that we would have recommendations by the next board meeting. It's gonna be tight, right? We're working on that, so.
So, but the county's offered to do, we're not calling it a request for proposal, correct? It's a request for solicitations, or
Honestly, because
Whatever.
that's their business, it's,
they're doing that. Okay,
Yeah.
so they've offered to do, the RFPs for banking and for insurance as well. Because I don't know if you saw what we put out for the legal services, it was pretty in-depth, and luckily we were able to get one from Santa Rosa Island Authority that we kind of tweaked and added and made it to what the RFP should be for our, the trust. So they'll help us write those RFPs for the banking and insurance. That'd be great.
That would be great.
Because it's not easy to write that.
they have a county attorney, so they didn't have a county, attorney, but
Mhm.
they do others, so that would be helpful.
Well, that sounds good. Sounds like those things are well aligned.
Okay.
The time gets tricky. though.
Yes, it does. They're very busy. This is their budget workshop week, et cetera, so.
We had a budget meeting last night, have one next Thursday, so it's,
Okay,
for the school.
yeah.
The timeline we wanted to add about when we're gonna start doing, we're asking people to submit grants or to submit requests for proposals. I don't know the correct word to call it. For nonprofits, they've been coming to me, like, when can I start applying for money? So what, you printed out something from Leon County.
This was just their search,
Oh, their
CEO
search.
search timeline.
Okay, do you wanna
So-
tell us what you've learned
Well, what I've learned is that they all do it differently, each of the CSCs, and this is what, if you wanna ask Michelle Watson if she can put together a presentation, or if you want Emily and me, basically, to me, the topic is funding cycles and how different CSCs do it. They do it differently from each other. How we design it is
It's up to us.
up to us, but what makes sense our first year. We don't need to contract out all 8 million in December. We need to stagger it, and how do we want it to stagger? I'm listening to the capital budget conversation, do you want pieces of it to be at one level? So all those funding cycles and options, if Michelle doesn't have something, then I think Emily and I could put something together. And we were thinking to do it at the board meeting.
I like that idea.
Our board meetings have been pretty efficiently run
Yeah, last
lately
time
because
it
they've
was
just
like
been
30
committee
minutes.
reports.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So you missed a good, you missed a bad one, because you've been in and out.
Right, but it was just committee reports, so it's like, okay, that's a time to do some presentations and education about what we're getting into.
So we're thinking, so August 10th is our next, look at your calendar behind you, so
Oh,
I'm staring at.
nice, yeah.
August 10th is our next board meeting, so we could have Michelle present on how other CSCs do funding cycles. That would be helpful for us before we go into our planning workshop. That's gonna help us figure out our mission, our vision. I mean, we know Brand's big scheme of mission, but we don't know, we're gonna get so many requests. We're gonna have to figure out how we're going to rank them, and so that will help us before we have our planning session, I think.
I also think those details that come up through that process will help people in the public to
That's
know kind of how to apply or how to frame program initiatives. So for example, do we come up with 1-year plans or multiple year plans? And what are some of those guiding components to the application?
Okay.
Another piece to this is other communities have different groups they work with that might say, and I'm gonna use St. Lucy's Roundtable as an example. I don't know that they're the ones that identified some problem in the community. It's more like the Achieve Escambia, where it's the police chief, the school superintendent, as this group, we see X is a problem. Then they put out a request for proposals to solve X. So it's not, here's what we're gonna fund, it's here's the problem that we, as this group, well, with the changes that Achieve is gonna be facing, I don't know where that might fit. But frankly, it's an important thing for us to keep in mind. We know plenty of needs, but how do we wanna go about solving that? It's just a different approach.
Right.
So,
Hopefully Michelle can help us with that in the planning meeting we have for 17th. Alright, so, we have 2 proposals, Michelle's meeting for executive, but we're on that. We have 2 proposals,
did she give you one of these?
so
Okay, so that was,
I went through and kind of looked at our RFP, our request for solicitations, and that's how I figured out how to do a ranking rubric for legal services. I mean, this is the stuff that we asked for specifically in our request for services solicitation. We asked that you be experienced in government law and public sector labor law. We can read it all the way down, and it's on, for those who are watching, it's, if you go to our website, it's sandvichonandstrust.org. It is, you can link to it, you can click on it, and you can find the ranking rubric. But I did it with the experience of the firm, but then if you look down, the first 3 about firm, the next 3 about the lead attorney, because sometimes, like, the firm might know what they're talking about, but the actual person who's working on our stuff, we need to have that person to know what they're talking about. We also asked in our request for solicitation that that person be accessible, that they be able to be at all the committee meetings and board meetings that we need them to be at, that they have a legal library and research capabilities, and the pricing structure. So those are the things that we asked for specifically in our request for solicitation. We also asked for references and resumes, which they all gave. I don't know if the best way to do this, I've never done this before, so if we want to go through and talk about each one individually, or if you and I want to quietly rank them ourselves. you tell me how you normally do this, Dr. Smith.
So I think, what I would suggest is that we just take each category and, we check which firm is, we feel is the one that meets the descriptor. So almost, check for the one that comes and we add up our checks and
Sounds good, all right.
look at it.
So the first one is experience of the firm in government law and public sector labor law. And before we start, thank you for both of those who did submit proposals. It was a lot of work, I know.
Yes.
To submit these proposals, and both firms, regardless of who we choose, have expertise in lots of areas. I mean, so they're both, qualified, wonderful attorneys.
And that's the good news, is that you got two qualified
Yes,
assistants.
exactly, so we
don't
really
need one at
appreciate
this
both
point,
firms
so.
doing this.
Yeah, I agree, and, you look at both of them and the experience they have is quite impressive.
Between the two of them, my personal opinion, the experience of the firm in government law and public sector labor law, the firm as a whole, Clark Partington seems to have more experience in that. Okay, we agree on that, okay. Experience of the firm in all phases of labor relation, negotiation processes, including mediation, fact-finding, arbitration.
Negotiation.
Right, they both have like.
Looking on the actual. So on page 4, with Partington, Clark Partington. Item D on page 4, there's 1, 2, 3 attorneys on
Okay, yes,
regulation.
yes, and so that's.
Hello, how y'all doing?
How are you?
It is open to the public.
It
right?
absolutely
is.
My name is Gladys Scott and I run an organization, Sisters of Hope. We help returning citizens and the residents to obtain a GED, job training, workforce. And so I'm just interested in this because I know y'all started with the kids and we started with the parents and trying to obtain their GED so they can help them further their education. So I'm just sitting there learning about
Okay,
y'all.
well, great, well, right now, it's kind of informal, it's just Dr. Smith and I, we're part of the executive committee, and we're discussing our attorney who's gonna help us out. So
Okay.
that's what we're doing right now. It
Okay.
might be a little boring for you.
No, it's all right.
Ms. Scott, thanks for coming.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Glad to have you.
Yeah, thank you.
I mean, so they specifically stated who was experienced in labor relation and negotiation process. I'm sure that Mr. Lukeman has done labor relations. However, the way that Clark Partington has laid it out is much easier to see.
It is. In there, you've got three attorneys with that
Okay.
type of experience, so I would say they would keep in mind.
Okay. The next one's experience of the firm in specialized areas, including but not limited to parliamentary procedures, government and sunshine law, FOIA, elected official, finance, government grants and contracts, growth management, taxation and finance law, specifically determination of millage and trim process, interlocal agreements, personnel, and any additional areas that will identify the focus of the firm.
You've got parliamentary procedures, there's each of these categories for Clark Partington, it seems like they have some
They
experience.
do, and I know that, right. Mr. Lukeman, has written that he, his firm is very familiar with government, let's see,
Sunshine,
the sunshine,
record, fiduciary responsibility.
Would you fill this out just so we have your contact information?
That's all contracts, yeah.
Yeah, he's on contracts.
Growth management, I don't know if I.
Um, I think one thing that Mr. Lukman is missing is the trim process and knowing how to do that. And I know that, Clark Partington has done that before, if I'm not mistaken. So,
Yeah, and I think, with their government work, Mr. Lucan does have the liaison with city officials, but I do agree with the government. I don't see growth reaching either of them.
No, I don't.
Maybe this.
I think overall, Clark Partington
Yes.
has gotten that. Okay. All right, experience as a lead attorney in government law and public sector labor law. So Clark Partington said that the specific attorney would be Meredith Crawford, who would be working on ours. And
Yes.
her bio is on page, I should have had this. It's in the back, her, page 26, it says she'll be the primary attorney assigned to handle the day-to-day legal needs of the trust. She'll be the one attending the public meetings of the board, page 25 and 26. And when she's unavailable, will be Mr. Dunaway. So I'm gonna find their resume. So that's what they can do.
Page 11.
Thank you. So she, in government and labor, in government law and public sector labor law, she is specialized in city government and local county attorney. So she's a board certified specialist. So as an attorney, that means she has to take an extra special test on top of the bar.
I was gonna ask you that.
Yes, and that means like, for example, you have to have done so much, you can't, anyone just can't apply, you can't just come out of the bar and say, oh, I'd be board certified in adoption law or juvenile law or city, county, local government attorney law or, litigation or, other areas. You have to have worked in that area for so long and done so many work, sort of worked for so many governments and cities before you can even apply for that. So,
That's good, that really speaks to the experience. And, it's interesting because both she and Mr. Dunaway have the environment and land use, we were just talking about growth, so.
so there we go.
it's kind of in
Yes,
that-
sir.
Yeah, I think that speaks to that, so
Okay.
I would say,
Check that.
we'll get another
Okay.
check there.
Experience as a lead attorney in phases of labor relation negotiation, mediation, fact finding, arbitration.
Let's see, real estate litigation, that's not there, I don't know that we,
Well, Meredith serves as attorney for the Escambia County Board of County Commissioners. So, the Board of Commissioners, so does it say specifically that she did labor? I imagine that includes, like she's part of the labor and employment section of the Fort Lauderdale, that doesn't. So I imagine that with her as a Escambia County Board of Commission, she did labor as well. And then Mr. Lukman, I know,
negotiation review contract.
right, and he represents, I know, the city of, what's it called, firefighters pension fund. I don't know
Yes.
exactly what that does, so.
Morning.
Hey.
Again.
He needs that other cup of coffee.
Yeah, I looked up,
So between the two of them, I mean, I think those could. With her work as the Escambia County, on the Escambia County Board of Commissions, I see that as working in the labor area, could be wrong between the two of them.
The firefighters,
Yeah, what do you know about that?
so. Karen brings extensive experience in all practice areas, remains as a trustee, physically and legal services, primary provider of legal services to the city of Penfield, firefighters pension and retirement. Yeah, that doesn't get into the,
And it says, you know, Ms. Crawford will be consulting, she's not the lead attorney, but then she'll be consulting with Daniel Harrell, who's the labor and employment attorney specifically.
yeah, I think
That's
with,
what they
with
do.
that resource, but then I'll also go back, I think you brought this out, the labor and employment section of Florida Bar, 2016 to present.
Mhm.
So
Okay, I think
Clark
so,
Party,
yeah.
think that's a check.
Okay, experience in the lead attorney in relevant specialized areas, including but not limited to parliamentary procedures, government and sunshine law, FOA, elected official, finance, government grants and contracts, taxation and finance law, specifically determination of millage and trim process, interlocal agreements, personnel, and any additional areas that will identify the purpose of the firm. So Mrs. Crawford's board certified specialist in the city, county, and local government attorney. Also her practice with the, as the attorney for the county, board of county commission, to me sets her, gives them a check mark over moving along.
Agreed.
Accessibility to lead attorney.
I think my hunch here is, my observation, just from comparing the two, she's got resources that she can tap into with her team. And the fact that there are attorneys, but she has been selected for this and purposely identified, whereas I think our other law firm, there's some new attorneys, it looks like, to help, but it looks like,
He's by himself.
yeah.
Okay, so I would,
I think Clark Party
yes.
can check there.
availability to lead attorney to attend committee and board meetings. I think this is what you just said a second ago.
And I like in the pricing structure too, there was a piece on that where there's a separate explanation of how we pay them for attending the board.
For Clark Partington.
Yes,
It says, so they were, well, we'll just, let's check off lead attorney on that one, unless we can jump on the pricing structure. So pricing structure, the proposed fee is they set forth a fixed fee of $36,000, which would be $3,000 a month. And that would be anticipated 6 hours of board and committee meetings monthly. With the remaining 6 hours for general counsel responsibilities, requests, and scope of work items 1 through 5. And then if we go over those hours, the 6 hours and 6 hours, the 12 hours, they're gonna bill us hourly at a reduced rate of $250 per attorney.
yes.
And Ms. Applegard, in your experience, how much have you used the attorney, either Allison Rogers or other local attorneys in the past? I mean, a week, month, I mean, however, I don't know how you want, I don't know this.
Startup is different than
Right.
ongoing, although what's gonna change is ongoing, is gonna look, I mean,
That's gonna look
it's gonna.
So do you, I guess in your opinion, do you think the $3,000 a month is a reasonable fee?
So how many hours is that?
That would be 6 hours of board and committee meetings monthly. So we have one Or, I mean, or there, and there remain 6 hours of general counsel things. Of course, some months the time will probably be more and some less, but the fee will remain fixed. So basically it would be 12 hours total. Yeah.
I don't know how much research versus how much do they already know, so I don't know how that
I guess, their
equates.
time coming to the meetings.
Right, that's the easy one, but it's like, okay, if you
The
say, well, we're
extra
getting ready to
phone
write contracts,
We need you to review this contract.
right,
Or-
or write the contracts.
We've
I
had
mean,
a lot of questions about, sunshine law. I mean, I know it seems simple, but then you're like, well, can I do this? Can I do that? Can I do this?
and that's
Can I do
where,
that?
if they know it off the top of their head, then.
Right, but we still have to pick up the phone and call them. And so, that's a, point 2, point 3, phone call.
Right,
So
right.
that's the way they're proposing it, whereas Mr. Lukeman is just gonna do a blank hourly fee, which is 300 and then 210, 210, 110. So,
When you had this page 2 on these proposed
Oh,
fee
yes, sir.
structure, with the 6 options,
yes, sir.
so. I'm wondering how does that compare to,
If you needed them. You said 6 hours.
yeah, I think it was 6.
Attachment B, there it is. So they said, this is per calendar quarter, which is 3 months. So, Clark Partington is saying 3 months would be 9,000 for, am I doing that math correctly? And then they're saying we could do, if we wanted to, we could select an option that 60 hours would be 18,000. And they're saying 36 hours. I think, and Mr. Lukeman did say we're happy to discuss providing other options. So
So I'm wondering, let me do some quick math here. So if we did 60 hours at 300, that's 18,000. So like option A, 60 hours times 300 is that amount, so the 15 paralegal hours on.
Right.
They're just included.
Oh, and they're included in that, yes, sir.
So,
And I think, and they're saying,
which is, because the paralegal rate would be $110, so.
but what they're saying, this is per quarter, per calendar quarter. So they're saying 18,000 times 4, total would be, if we did flat fee A, it would be 72,000 a year. Is that correct? Am I doing that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna, what he does say that for shorter time periods, the number of hours of compensation will be prorated accordingly. And he does say they're happy to provide other options. For the attorney hours at, let's make it equal. So the attorney hours, that's a year for 60 hours per quarter times 4. That'd be 240 attorney hours a year, okay? Does that make sense?
Mhm.
All right, so for Clark Partington, a year is 36,000. Now, how many hours, he said. Page 27, they're saying 36,000 annually.
Payroll 12.
And, okay, so they're saying 3,000 a month with 6 hours at the board meetings and 6 hours for general counsel responsibilities, that's 12 hours. So 3,000 divided by
That's-
12 is,
That was 6 hours weekly,
no, we,
no, 1.5 weekly?
right,
Okay, so that's, I'm sorry, is that monthly?
this is a month, so it says
Okay,
$3,000 a month. It says the fixed fee is calculated for the anticipated 6 hours of board meetings with the remaining 6 hours for general counsel responsibilities and scope of work.
okay.
So they're saying it's $2.50 an hour. That's how much they're charging out per hour. The total of the year is 36,000. It's 12 hours of work. So 12 hours of work times 12, which is 144.
Yes.
So Clark Partington, their fixed fee is gonna be 144 hours total a year they're gonna work for us at $2.50 an hour for $36,000. Mr. Lukeman's lowest proposal, which he did say he would change it.
This F, right?
Well, no, it would be A. Cause it's per calendar quarter. Do you see that?
Yeah, so what this proposal is if there's more hours, because I think the hourly rate goes down the more hours that you use. If that, because 360 hours, 96,000 divided by 360, it's $266. So I think he's
Okay,
diminishing more hours.
hi Tori, how are you? So I think, I mean, if you look at it for hourly rate, it would be part.
Yeah.
So,
I think so.
okay. You can have that, we're almost done.
Okay.
The last one we haven't discussed is the legal library and research capabilities. I'm gonna go to that page, on Clark Partington, it's gonna be on.
Well, I think
I know they addressed it, but.
legal library, page 5.
Thank you. Their firm has access to the full suite of Westlaw for online legal research. They also use municode.com and MuniPro. Not sure what that is, but, must be something for municipalities. They also subscribe to the municipal law reporter and a local government topics list provided by the Florida Bar. And then Mr. Lukeman. He says in his first, on the first page in section 1, it says, we have adequate office space, staff, equipment, resource, web materials, and library resources to represent the trust.
It seems like Clark Partington has a little bit more detail there.
They have more detail, I don't know if they have more or less, but they specifically stated exactly what we asked for, so. All right, so what we've done is we've gone through for you, we've checked marked whichever, all the ones, on the ranking rubric. And it's clear that Clark Partington has received our bid. So
And checks.
do you have any,
No, I was like when I was coming and I reviewed this and I thought, I don't know where I was going.
okay. But we just want to make sure that what we did is we pulled out the factors that we asked for in the RFP. Not just pull things out of thin air. So, our recommendation to go to the board on August the 11th is that we will ask Clark Partington to be our attorney for legal services And then I think it said, RFP said it started on August. I don't have the RFP in front of me. I don't think I have the request for solicitation in front of me.
What's your question?
What day they're gonna start?
Maybe they start on our RFP. Would be the RFP.
We can find those.
Services. We'll look it up.
Yes.
We'll find it.
So, any other comments on that? We'll just thank you, both of you again for applying. I know that was a lot of work for both of you to apply. So thank you for
Yes.
doing that. We really appreciate it. You both are very qualified in your areas of all the practices. And we do have a public speaker today, so we'll let you, I know you already introduced yourself, but we'll let you go ahead and say, because Ms. Woods wasn't here earlier, so we'll let Ms. Woods go ahead and tell us your name again.
My name is Gladys Scott. Sisters of Hope is our organization where we provide service to the returning citizens and the residents in Escambia County. We offer GED classes through Pensacola State College at night. And we also offer GED readiness where they can come in daytime from 10 to 4 at our GED center. We are located on 321 North Davila, Suite 218, where we provide counseling. We get them volunteer opportunities. They want to volunteer, they can come volunteer and help with the community where we go out and feed the homeless. We go out and try to get them signed up, trying to help them. And we also feed our veterans, and we also connecting with different organizations to get our veterans what they need. And we've been in business almost 2 years.
2 years. Oh,
Yes.
that's that. So I think you came in a little bit, after we discussed our timeline, so just for all those who are listening, we will, we're gonna have Michelle Watson, who is the CSC director of all the CSCs, I don't know her official title, but that works. Gonna tell us how other, children's services around the area, around the state, do their request for proposals, like, you know, because we're gonna have a lot of people coming, and we wanna make sure that we do it as fair and accurate and, you know, as we possibly can. We wanna get advice from how other, CSCs, from, you know, pick and choose how they get this.
And see, and that's why I come, because I know that the Children Trust Fund is believe, you know, kids. And our thing at Sisters of Hope, if we're gonna start with the kids, we need to start with the parents. And if the parents don't know how to add, subtract, or divide, how could they teach our children? And that's we big on advocacy, trying to help our parents get their GED so they can be able to help their children at night with their homework.
So our our 3 big buckets are Ready Kids, Ready Youth, and Ready Families. So
Okay.
we, you know, that would fit into the Ready Families.
Yes.
So we appreciate you coming, Ms. Scott.
Thank you so
Appreciate
much.
what you do. I know.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes, I love it.
We need people like y'all out there, so.
Yes,
thank
I
you.
love it.
It's good work there.
Is there any other comments, discussion?
I know this isn't executive, but the DCF, did he ever get you the information? Cause I know we have to
He
speak
did
about it.
not. I will follow up on that.
And are you gonna speak at Kim's thing?
I'll go support if I can,
Okay.
or you can, one of us can.
Okay.
All right, well, thank y'all for coming. Thank you, Rodney. Thank you, Dr. Smith, for opening this up.
All right.
Thank you. So do we let,
Thank you.
do we, how do we, well, we have to vote on, we have to do a full board meeting on August 11th.
Yeah, I think
And then we
this
let-
makes a recommendation.
And then we'll send a final letter to,
Do you want to show them the name tag since they're the ones most urgent to get the name tags? Do you want a name tag? They look like a,
Not 11, right?
August the 10th is the board meeting.
Yes, August the 10th,
is
sorry,
the
I'm looking.
Personnel.
I'm looking at his calendar and, yes,
I was just making sure. I
No,
didn't know
you're
my
right.
calendar.
August was the first day of school.
I got them to make up 2 different options. One has like,
Well, he can pick us.
Yeah,
do you like which one?
I like that. I like that one.
All right.
As long as the name's big enough. to see. That's what drives me crazy.